In this video, we're going to be talking about handling data and dealing with informational overload. So during your OSINT investigations, you're probably going to end up with a whole lot of data. Data that you're going to use, data that you need to organize, data that you're not going to use. So these are going to be some tips on how to organize it, stuff that you want to collect, and kind of how to not get overwhelmed by it. So things that we're typically looking for in an OSINT investigation is contact information. We want to know the scope of work, what is considered out of scope. This is all going to be stuff for when you're being contracted for OSINT investigation or you're being asked to perform an OSINT investigation. You want that contact information so you know, well, who to contact if there's a question or problem or when you finish. You want to know what's in the scope of work, what they expect you to do. What is considered out of scope? Things like, well, can I send a password reset request to, say, Facebook or social media to find out if they have an account there? Are there any special considerations you need to have? Things like, well, there always needs to be a VPN. I have to do this on a non-personal computer, etc. Is there a timeline that you need to get this done by? Are there special data retention requests? Things like, do the files need to be encrypted? Do you need to shred the files after the fact, etc.? And informational, get the information in writing, in either an email, a letter, something where you could refer back to if there's a question, if there's a problem, or whatnot. You want that information, all of this in writing. It protects both you and the client. So data collection during the investigation, you're likely, again, to collect a large amount of data. This data can include things like names, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, social media posts, photos, text dumps, passwords, etc. And again, getting all this information can be really overwhelming. You can get overwhelmed pretty easily, and that's pretty common. So what you want to do is the uncertainty of what you keep and don't want to keep, again, that can be really stressful. So first and foremost, I know it's easy to say, but try to keep calm. Try to collect information that's within the scope of work. Anything and everything may fall into the scope of stuff that you're collecting. So me personally, I tend to collect everything initially, unless I know it's out of scope, and then we can kind of break it up from there. Once that information is broken out into sections, we can break it down into things like phone numbers, names, places, dates, etc. So, and again, once I have that initial data, I'll take a look at it again, see if it's in scope or out of scope. And if the job is to, say, identify a Twitter user, does any of the information have a name? If it has a name, I'll look at their friends. Do their friends give a location or a name or other information that I'm interested in, things like that. And we'll be kind of walking through this again, too, later in the course. So additional considerations, keep your investigations and data isolated to your virtual machine. So if you need to keep your operation secure, consider encrypting your data in your VM. Things like KeyPass for your passwords, and there's VeriCrypt for encrypting the data, things like that. Depending on your scope of work, you may be working in a no-contact investigation. In other words, you are not allowed to directly contact your target or your target's friends, family, etc. You want to pay special attention to this. Again, you don't want to break your contract. And also you don't want to, typically those things are there for, well, you don't want to spook the target or whatnot. Unless you're expressly allowed, do not share specific information about your investigation with anyone outside of the investigation group, before, during, or after the event. Again, you want to make sure when you're dealing with OSINT investigation for someone that you want to find out what you're allowed and not allowed to do. So these are some considerations with handling data. Hopefully it helped. If you have questions or problems, let me know and I'll do my best to address it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.